look, I don't know if I can speak to the model being outdated already. I don't know. But Netflix, let's just say, is in a whole heap of trouble. They're not the only company that's in the entertainment space that's in trouble, but they're in trouble. And I believe for the first time in the decade, they have suffered actual losses here. And that can be attributed to a number of different things. Yeah, is it a content issue? Probably. That's probably some of it. You've had some questionable things be released on there that some people are like, I don't know if I want to be paying to be in support of that. It could just be a general, non-interested type of thing. But nonetheless, Netflix in itself is some people like, I don't have Netflix, by the way. I don't have Netflix. But, some people thought they should have been done with the whole cutie situation, but who knows? Netflix has lost 200,000 subscribers during the first quarter due to increased competition and stuff like that. I do know that they did crack down on some of the password sharing, which they're blaming some of this to as well. But that had been going on before, so that you can't really attribute that. I think maybe it is the competition, but also I think, because, a lot of people have entered into the streaming space, so that could be a part of it. But that didn't start last year. I think this is more so a combination of so many different things. But as documented here, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Netflix predicted to add 2.5 million subscribers during the first quarter of 2022, but instead lost 200,000. So they were off on 2.7 million subscribers, because they were expecting listen to that. They predicted 2.5 million subscribers during the first quarter, but instead lost approximately 200,000. Now, for those of you that haven't been in the corporate space or haven't been in the business space really at all, you know that has some severe ramifications, because with mega corporate entities, often a lot of their business plan operates on projection, not like literal like projection in the like psychological, logical fallacy sense, or no, talking about like they have these predictions and they will then build a business plan entirely centered around that going into that next year, that fiscal year. So they're off to a terrible start because they have missed the mark by 2.7 million because they lost, instead of gaining 2.5, they lost 200,000. So that is a fundamental issue, certainly there. As it says right here, the streaming service cited a number of reasons for the decrease, including password sharing, rival streaming services, and more. Netflix also recently suspended its service in Russia following the invasion of Ukraine, where there are approximately 700,000 subscribers. That could have a part. That could have a part of it. But even if all of those, they still are at a severe disadvantage. So yeah, other things that can be taken into consideration. This is why I said it's more a combination of certain things as opposed to one problem. Now, the password sharing, I don't know, because that's been a thing. The losses are expected to continue into the current quarter, which will last from April to June, as the company is now predicting to lose another 2 million subscribers. Okay. They have to be, this could be a make or break year for Netflix. And I'm not joking. Because you have to understand, as I mentioned before, every big mega corporations operate on speculation, right? Because it's very difficult to predict how exactly much money that you're going to make. So they guess. But when you are trying to, when you start off the fiscal year, I don't know if it's their fiscal year or what they would consider their fiscal year, but you start off the year essentially losing millions of subscribers when you were expecting, you're losing 200,000 subscribers, but you were expecting to gain 2.5 million. All of the money that you have invested, that you have made commitments to, these are projects probably already being developed, contractual obligations. All of those are still going to happen. So they could be operating at a loss, and this could make or break them, because if the it's one thing to lose a little bit, but this seems very significant. If they're missing the mark by millions of subscribers, this seems very, very significant. And they have some stuff on the way that may help them out. I know they got the Stranger Things thing, which is apparently very popular, that could help them out. But is that going to, again, they already accounted for all of that, considering where they're at right now in terms of their projections, which were completely off. The company said in that letter, Stream is continuing going. It actually says, according to IndieWire, Netflix ended the quarter with 222.64 million paid subscribers. At the end of 2021, Netflix reported a total of 221.84 million subscribers. Our revenue growth has slowed considerably, as our results and forecasts below show. Streaming is winning over linear as we predicted, and Netflix titles are largely popular globally, the company said in a letter to the shareholders. However, our relatively high household penetration, when including the large number of households sharing accounts, combined with competition, is creating revenue growth headwinds. The big COVID boost to streaming obscured the picture until recently. Again, Netflix was one of those companies that benefited greatly from the economic kind of trend and shift that a lot of companies had because of COVID, more so the government and what it is that they did. A lot of folks had a lot to gain and a lot of folks had a lot to lose. Netflix was one of those companies that had a lot to gain, but as people return to any sort of normalcy, you start to see people maybe not value their Netflix account certainly as much. It is important to note that they are not, of all the things that they have listed, the content issue doesn't seem to be the case. They are specifically referencing competition and password sharing. Content has nothing according to them. And again, I think it's a combination. I don't think it's one thing there. As Netflix continues to put out a large quantity of original content to lure subscribers in, the company has begun to expand into gaming over the past couple of months. Netflix mobile app allows users to play games such as Stranger Things 3 the game, Arcanium, and Asphalt Extreme, and more of the games are included with a Netflix membership and don't include any additional in-app purchases or ads. Yes, I think that's probably bets for them to get into that market, maybe even in the streaming space. I've heard other content creators speak about that. Netflix possibly entering in. I mean, you have a streaming platform. Maybe you start getting some deals and give your shot at a streaming service, a competitive streaming service as well that you could house on your own platform. Gaming, of course, is where the money's at right now. It is the largest just industry period, really, even in comparison to what they do with Hollywood. So we'll see what happens. But I think definitely as a return to normalcy, because you understand what we've had is a very distorted market over the last few years. Very, very distorted. And as people get back to doing just regular things, not giving a shit about what the government's telling them and all that, you're going to see the adjustment be made, and you're going to see a far more honest, as honest as it can be. The regulatory bodies of the government still exist, but you get what it is that I'm saying. As you return to any sort of regularity, you're going to see an adjustment. But I do think it's a combination, me personally, as mentioned, of some of the things they mentioned, more so with the times and the fact that, they had to benefit from the COVID. But I also think content in itself is a big part of it. But don't expect any of these companies to ever concede that would be the actual case. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and Odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.